What is going on, people? I just wanted to get back with you on this because I don't think I showed everything I wanted to show last time. Let me get into here and get this music stopped. Holy smokes, this game is loud. And I haven't found anything inside the game to lower that volume. Holy smokes. Alright, so I just wanted to let everybody know I had showed a video before on a little bit how to get custom logos into the PC version. Again, I don't know if this works on console. I'm doing it on PC again. But this time it's for the college teams. And I kind of wanted to show this time, I've done everybody but Wyoming. And I wanted to come in and show everybody how I did all the teams. In case people want to do it for themselves. Again, I don't know if it works on console. I don't I don't even think I have it on console to find out. So Um, proceed on console at your own discretion. But real quick, we're going to jump into teams and players from the customization menu from the main screen. And I'm just going to flip through some of these real quick. So you can get pretty much the only thing, so there are a couple exceptions. So I've not figured out how to do Michigan's helmet yet, that kind of thing. Anything with an eagle, I know some teams have multiple, and then like Oregon's duck helmets, I just went with their regular O because you can't. I don't currently know if you can do that. You can't in the game's original state. There might be a backdoor file way to do it, but I haven't experimented with that yet, although I do plan to. And I will show that later if I can figure it out. But for now, this is just the kind of thing that I went with. Michigan, I just kind of used and you can see everybody's done. And I will say, like for Arkansas State, obviously they do have a helmet that's on, but they also had the red wolf on the helmet, which I also did. Now I will say, because I don't think Wyoming's going to need that, but you can add to the list of logos just by putting a bigger number on it. It'll be in there, and I'll show you that when we go to save the Wyoming stuff here. But you don't have to have the same main logo as the helmet logo, but the main logo is what's going to be on the field. So I've been looking up pictures of the fields to know what to use for that, and then I've also been grabbing pictures of helmets and then deciding whether I want to use that same one or if I want to get a different one like I did in this case. So be aware of that if you decide to do this for yourself. But there are obviously some that don't have helmets, or helmet stickers, I should say. But we've got everybody done. Now there is a limit to the size. Now a lot of helmets for Boise have the oversized Bronco horse. Can't do that yet. Like I said, I may be able to do it on a backdoor way, but I haven't been able to experiment with that yet. But I plan to. And you got a couple that don't have helmet emblems, so. But again, everybody's in here except for Wyoming, unless something didn't save, which we may run across here any second. I haven't had any issues with nothing save or stuff not saving. Now here's another exception. I went ahead and did, which they do have helmets that are this, but they are alternate helmets and they're very rarely used. Um, but I can't do the RAM helmet in the conventional sense of the game. So I will be once I experiment with that other stuff. I'm going to try to do the RAM horn on this one as well if it works. If it doesn't, then I'll stick with this version. And then just so on and so forth. And you can see like that one's the same emblem did I take? Yeah, see if you notice this one has no outline and it's probably a little bit smaller um, than this one, and this one has the blue outline. So you can do two different ones in each place if you so choose. You cannot, however, separate the field from the main. If you could, then you could have technically three different ones, but it doesn't let you do that yet. Now I don't know, I didn't look at the backdoor files enough yet to see if that's doable from that perspective, but I digress. So you can see it's very doable. They look really sharp the way that I've done it, and I'll show you really what that entails as well. Here's another one that's different, AFU, or FAU, if I could speak. Now, I've not done the rosters. That would take forever. Now, I'm an Arkansas Razorback fan, so I may go back in and do them. I don't foresee myself doing everyone. And to be honest, I don't really know how much I'll play it. Um, it's not quite there gameplay-wise yet, graphically. It's close. They're really close. I mean, I like where they're going. That's why I bought it, to support them. And as far as being able to, you know, customize things, you can see here it's pretty easy to do. And you'll see further once we get into doing the Wyoming Cowboys here in just a few. But I just wanted to show you guys what you can do with it. And once we get further down the road here, I'll show you how. And you have the Gators, not depth chart. So, yeah, obviously, if you're a Gators fan, you could go in and look up all the stuff if you wanted to. I didn't have to change too many of the uniforms as far as their version of it. There were a few, so be mindful of that. I honestly couldn't tell you which ones now that I had to do. Now some of these, the logo was the same on the helmet as it was for this part, but I think, like if you see this, it has the red outline. I think I did a separate one for these guys. Yeah, see, that doesn't have the red outline. So even to that point, and I think I had to make it a little smaller anyway. Now you can, I want to make this clear too. If you do the default size of the pictures in this are 512 by 512, and technically that red would have disappeared on this helmet. And then you can do, if I go over to the emblems, you can do the right trigger plus the left stick to make them smaller. However, there's not really anything that tells you that they're the same on each side. So it's pretty much just eyeballing it to guess. And also, if you notice, it's hard to tell with this one per se. Let me see if I can find a bigger. Let me see if I can find a bigger decal here. If I can find one that's big, this one's bigger. You might be able to tell on this one. So if I go to the helmet on these guys, see how there's a little gap by the ear hole there between the logo and the ear hole? If I go over here, see how it's not? So I found in the backdoor HTML files that for whatever reason they put 0 and 0 on the position on one side and -1, -1 on the other side. Now I don't know if that's something they were supposed to do on both sides, but even if they were, I don't know which one they were going to use. So I may try to go back through and see if I can change those all to the same, just so it's closer to being the same on both sides. So, I mean, it's not a huge deal. Hey, Dwayne, what's going on, brother? So it's not a big deal. It's not that far off, but it's kind of, you know, if you have OCD, it's going to drive you nuts to know that. So if you do have OCD, I'd suggest not doing this. But again, I just wanted to show you guys that it's possible to get the actual logos from the NCAA in your game on PC, and they look pretty spot on. I mean, and I'll show you why once we get there. Um, Again, I don't know if you guys want to see everybody, but I didn't I didn't really want to leave anybody out. Just so you guys know that they can all be done. Now, technically, on the helmets, so like this one, if I go to the team data, you can see the Jayhawk is there. Now, they do have a version of their helmet where they have KU on, I believe it's on the left, and then on the right, they have the Jayhawk. And since you have those separated, you technically could do that. I did not want to do that. I just didn't, when I got it on the helmet, it didn't look right to me, so I just went with KU on both sides. But you could do that on any helmet if you so desired. Now, they do not let you put numbers on the helmets yet. Hopefully that'll come in an update or something, or a future version. So Alabama's helmet is blank. I saw somebody that did a static number, and from the distance, like for the TV broadcast camera, that probably would look pretty good. But if you decide not to use that camera, then it's probably going to be pretty noticeable. So I did not do that. We'll see if they add the capability to do numbers at some point. Um, but yeah, for the most part, they look really good. And it's kind of just preference. Like Liberty, you could have done the flame eagle thing. That's just a white outline of the bird. Well, the head really, with flames coming off the back of it. I went with the LUs. I thought it looked better myself. But you can pretty much do, whatever version you want, basically, except for, like I said, like Michigan kind of helmet, or the ram horns, or any kind of eagle wings. Anything that's kind of bigger and gets to the side of the helmet, they're limited on the block that they let you use, so you can't do that. This is another one that would have been, like you guys know, that if you're into college football, that Maryland, this is a version they have of helmet, but their most popular that they've been wearing is the flag over the entire helmet, and you can't do that in this game with the limitations just yet. Maybe that'll change someday. Hope it does. Really do. Um, but they are getting there. The gameplay is getting there. I did find an M that had the flag inside of it, and I tried to use that at first, but it didn't look right. So I went with the Terps helmet, and it looks much better that way. This is another one. I gotta change that. Let's go ahead and do that while we're in here. This is another one of the helmets that that you can't do their most used, which is they like the Bengals kind of helmet. They do the tiger pattern across the helmet, which these guys do in blue and white, but you can't do that in this iteration of the designer or helmet logos. They just don't get big enough for you to do it. Now here's the other one I was talking about, Michigan. I just used their M and the stripe because you can't do the actual pattern of the helmet yet. Hopefully we'll find a way to do that at some point. But yeah, I mean they've all turned out. Even the off ones that I had to use something different for have turned out phenomenal. Now see, this is one you could manipulate because they went back to the old school blue, the light blue. So you could change that technically if you wanted to. Um, but I think it looks fine the way it is as well. Um, I may change it at some point, but right now it's fine the way it is. And I may have missed some of these captions that go on the uniforms, but I'll catch those as we go. Normally if they had it blank, I left it blank for the most part, but some of them I added. That one's a little difficult to see, but it's the Nevada Wolfpack wolf head. And again, you're limited to 512 across, so if you have a wider logo like that one, if sometimes it will look smaller and there's nothing you can do about it to make it bigger. Now I couldn't find the Aggies, like these guys have an Aggie symbol and they have a guy behind. It says Aggies on the top and then it says New Mexico on the bottom, New Mexico State. And the guy is holding two pistols, but on each side of the helmet it points forward, which means the guy on each side is flipped so that he points to either the front of the words or the back of the words, and I couldn't find both, so I had to go with this, which is actually a helmet. It is a thing. So that's the version of helmet I had to go with for that. And you're not limited to this, so you can change the helmet color if you wanted. Like these guys, I could have changed to white and then done the red NCS, but I tried to leave them to what the game had for the most part. Now, if you got an emblem like that that's diagonal, you can make it pretty big because you can go from corner to corner. So that one's a lot bigger than most of them, which on the helmets it kind of is. So that actually worked out pretty well. But you can see it's very possible to get all the stuff you need in here. Now, I didn't really. You could technically do a pattern of the Buckeyes and stick it on one side of these helmets. I did not feel like screwing with that right now, so I just left them empty. But you technically could do that. So if I go to the helmet on, wrong button. Go to the helmet on this, there's no logo. But you could do a Buckeyes panel with that same gray as the background, and it would look just like the helmets in real life with the Buckeyes on them. So you technically could do that. Wouldn't be too difficult. Now that OU might be a little bit big, but I kind of wanted it to be visible. But you can change that. I mean, it's really easy to knock the size down on everything. Pitt got the old school colors. So this has taken me probably, I don't know, right around a week to do all of them. But I would do, a few until I got, tired or wanted to go shoot people in the face with Fortnite or whatever. And then I would take a break. So if you did it, like one setting or whatever, if you could do that, I don't know how long it would take you, but it took me about a week total. And they are all renamed as well. And once I get them done, I see I couldn't get the rocket quite as big as I wanted, but it's fine. Now this one I changed the helmet color because I didn't really see a lot of what they had when I was looking at the uniforms for Troy, so I switched it. Now this one I've started to do the wave, the new wave logo they have, but it says Tulane on the megaphone, so when you flip it, it's backwards. And I couldn't find one facing the other direction. So I went with the T, with the wave. Again, that's going to dictate some of the stuff you can do, what you can find. Um, but yeah, it's gone really well, I must say. Now this one I had the dark blue on the helmet at first, and it looks fine too. But I found a new UCLA logo because I this is one of the first ones I did. um, Before I changed the name, they were obviously California and then Los Angeles, right? So now this one you can't do the stripe dog face like they kind of have now. So I went with the old school, just a husky face on the side. So again, there are some limitations, but you can do some pretty cool things with this game. Like I said, it's now see I changed this one completely because they were I want to say they were red and black. They had them as, and I found the gray uniforms looked really good, so I went with that. Actually, it looks like I forgot to change the number font here, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so yeah, now they're both. Alright, so move on now. I had to redo this one last night because I didn't realize I had the wrong logo. It had some three-quarter looking Trojan looking guy. Wasn't right. But as you can see, now see that Roadrunner I think should be bigger too, but with the limitations of the box, you can't get it any bigger. And you can make the box bigger that you save to the file, and it will read it, but it will reduce it to 512. You can't make it any bigger doing it in the actual image. So that's pretty much everybody. I think they're going. I see that's another one you couldn't make as big as I wanted. All right, so we are to Wyoming, which is we're gonna try to show you how to do this. I'm doing a desktop capture to try to do it because I do have one to stream the game that captures the game window, but I'm switching back and forth from the web to paint.net to this, so I wanted to be able to not have to flip capture stuff, so I just stay on desktop and you can see everything, hopefully. Alright, so what we do is, or at least how I've been doing it, I'm coming over to the web, I'm going to Wyoming or whatever university football 1200 logo wiki, and it brings up this here wiki. That's what I'm looking for. So I want to go into this. Now you have different things you can choose from, but you kind of want to make sure that it's a PNG because that's going to give you the sharpest resize image. If you do JPEG, it tends to put a white border around it and things that I've found, and I had to go back and do a lot of them because of that. So something else I do is once I look at that, I want to look at the helmet, which is white. So then that's going to tell me that being white, this is the color I want on the helmet. So I'm going to go ahead and save that because that is one that I want. And then what I do is I go look at the field to see what they usually have, which is brown with the yellow outline, and it looks like it may even have a white. Now, I don't know if we'll mess with the white here. You can't do this. I mean, I'd like to do the end zones too, but it doesn't let you do that in the current state. There you go. So it does have a white outline as well. So if we come over here, we look at the unis, you can see the white helmet there. Try to get some closer shots if I can find them. So like here, if I look at that, it has the yellow outline. Alright, so that's pretty much how I get an idea of what I want to do. Then I come over to paint.net and I go open the file that we saved. Alright, so you can see it's big, and that's why I chose the 1200. So it's going to have a 1200 in the size somewhere, in most cases. I think there were like 2 maybe that I couldn't find that size on. Alright, so then I want to resize it. I want to go to the biggest number, and I want to go 512 because that's the limit. Alright, so then we can go back here and do canvas size. Do 512 on the other one. And we aren't going to use that really, so you can, I mean, you technically could spread that out, that logo, but then it wouldn't look right. Sorry, I got an itch, hang on. Alright, so now we have our 512 by 512. So that's really our main. Now, again, that's going to be on the field. So if you want it to look like it is on the field, you'd have to have the white outline as well, right? So then I need to reduce it a little bit so that I can put that in there. So I'm going to go 490. And then I'm going to go canvas size again back to 512. And I'm going to get rid of that white. Alright, so then I can click on that, make sure there's nothing out here in the space where I don't want it. It's all the emblem. And you got some in here as well, and that's fine. So then I want to go to outline. And then I want to change my color sliders so that it's white. And I don't see anything. So I didn't select all. Let's try that again. Alright, now we can make it slide to white. There we go. Alright, and then you can make that solid or more solid if you want to. Sorry, I just finished my first cup of coffee. I'm not quite awake yet. So then you can make it however thick you need it. And we're going to go, I think we're going to go with 3. So then we'll say OK on that. Now, what I want to do is I want to save as. I'm going to go to, I pinned this logos thing, which you can find through Steam, browse local files, right? Also, you can see up here it's under Steam, Steam Apps, Common, into Maximum Football, Streaming Assets, and then Logos. Now, when you go into Streaming Assets, you're going to see Custom Logos, Game Logos, and Logos. These are like for the bowl games, what they're using. These are for the ones you make in their creator, in their logo designer. And these are the ones that are default with the game. So that's what I've pinned. So if you right click on it, you can say pin to quick access. And then you'll have it right here and you won't have to go look for it every time. Alright, so what I need to do now is go look at these guys. I'm going to go back down to team data because that allows me to see the chunky little mouse there. So that's the one I want to replace. Now you could technically leave all of those and just do these as bigger numbers like I've done with the helmet stuff up here that I wanted to do different. This is where it ended. I've added all of these. And you have to back out and go back in when you add extra ones after you've already done one. So be mindful of that. If you load it after you've already come in here and picked one for another team, like you do it on another team, it's not going to show you that new one until you back out and go back in, because for some reason they didn't give you a reload button for these logos. I'm not quite, I mean, hopefully they'll fix that at some point, but they didn't think about that, I guess. Of course, they also probably didn't think about people doing what I'm doing either, so there's that also. Alright, so I'm looking for a chunky little mouse here. I should have probably looked it up first before I started the stream, but I didn't, because I kind of wanted you guys to see what I'm doing. And this is pretty much how I did everybody, and I think I'm going to change this main here. Doesn't quite look right. And there's the chunky mouse right there next to Florida. Alright, so we're going to double click there to replace that. Alright, so we've done that, so let's go over to the game. Now if we click off of that, because we replaced this one, so if we click off of that and come back to it, it's going to show us that. So that's our main, and that's also going to be on the field, which we looked at the picture and it had the white outline on the field. So now what you want to do, and you could probably get away with keeping that for the helmet, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to come over here to the helmet. Now you see it's not loaded, so I click off of it again while on uniform, and then I go back to helmet, and there it is. So obviously I'd have to flip that one because I want it to face forward, right? Alright, so you can see on these it has the white outline, and the helmet you can't see it because the helmet's white. However, I want it to be a little bit smaller because I don't want the Bronco's face to be in that ear hole. And since I'm going to do that, I can go ahead and get rid of that white outline for this part. And also that allows me to show you how I do that part. So we'll come back over to the image and we will back it up so that the outline's not there. We will resize it because we want it to be a little smaller, so we're going to go 475. Do the canvas back to 512 again. And get rid of this white that it added for doing that. Now we can do a file save as if we hit the right button. Now I want to come down here and see what my last number is, which is 686. So I want this to be 687. Alright, now I flip back over to here. Now I've not gone into, I don't believe I've gone in, well I might have, since I had the game up doing Wisconsin, I might be able to show you that part too. So if I go into this, it's going to load, okay it is loading, so it's, if it does this you're going to see it. If it just says loading and then pops up, you won't see it. So if I go left, there it is. Right there. So now you can see this one does not have the outline. So then I do the same thing here. Now he's he's still pretty much on the ear hole, but I'm gonna leave it because their emblem is fairly decent size, so I don't want to make it too small, right? So I think we're gonna leave it. Alright, so that's how you do it. And if we go back to game data, we still got the outline. Go back to uniform and helmet, no outline. No white outline, let's put it that way. Alright, so now if you wanted that outline of yellow to be bigger, you'd do the same way that I did the white. You just make it the yellow color. Alright, so what I wanted, what I do want to show you is, alright, let's go to Air Force. So for whatever reason, let's just say I wanted to do an A on the helmets for whatever reason, right? Now I left this up because if I wanted to make that smaller, I could just come in here, resize it, save it, and then reload the game by clicking off of it and clicking back on, and that would instantly load that new sized image. But I'm good with what it is, so I'm going to leave it. Alright, so I'm actually going to do a new, actually let me get rid of that. I'm just going to do a new sheet here, and I'm going to do 512 by 512 because we know that's what we use. I'm going to select all and get rid of that. Now I'm going to do text, and I'm going to do as big as it'll let me do just because, and then I'm just going to do an A. I don't really care what color it is because I'm going to delete it anyway. So we're going to save that as, and we're going to put it at the very end, so 688. Alright, so now I'm still in the customization hub on the game. I just changed teams. I never backed out of it, right? So if I go to the helmet and I want to add that A to this helmet, it's not there. I can't get to it. And that's what I was talking about. If you go into these logos and it says loading and just pops up, you don't see it count the number up, you'll not see that new logo. So all you have to do in that case is just back out of the customize hub, back to this menu, and then just go straight back in. And then do your uniform, whatever team you're going to do, back to helmet, and then go over to your logos, and if you see that count up, you'll see it. Why they didn't give you a button to make it do that, I don't know. Maybe they didn't expect people to do this, possibly. And there it is. Now I'm not going to add it because I don't want to change that, but that's how you would do it. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Now all of my teams are done. Again, you can change whatever in the uniform you want if there is anything. Be mindful of the captions for the jerseys because they will say the old stuff like Blue City and Blue Capital or whatever. So you got to change those too if you want. And then if you just, since we're done, we just come out of that, and just to show you what we got, we can do a play now, and it will randomize the teams. And you got LSU and Oklahoma. I'm not going to play it. And I prefer not to do the broadcast camera, really, because I think it gets closer to the players, and you can actually see your work a little bit easier. I may actually make that OU smaller, but not that one, but the one on the helmet. It did seem kind of big. So there you have LSU Tigers and the Oklahoma Sooners. And we'll let it do a little bit. There's your OU on the field. Now I was not able to, like on LSU, I did that white outline on the field because it wouldn't let me do the fade. It didn't look right. It didn't read it right. And it made part of the faded stuff look black. So why it uses PNG and doesn't do that correctly, I don't know, but I was unable to do that. So be mindful of that if you try to do it and do the LSU field with that tiger eye. Now again, these guys are not quite there on the gameplay front, but they're getting there. They are definitely getting there. I mean, if you look at this compared to Madden, the player models aren't quite there. A lot of the animations aren't quite there, but if you look at the hit physics, I actually think they might do a better job with that in a lot of cases. So I'd love to see more people buy this game just to support them, to get the money they need to work on it. And don't get me wrong, I like Axis also, and I think they're headed in the right direction as well. But they're not quite there yet, and they're a little bit more difficult to mod on the Axis side. Not quite as difficult as the new Maddens, but they are difficult. So, I mean, that's how you get your college logos into the game. I hope that's helped somebody. Feel free to comment on the video. It'll be moved over to YouTube at some point as well if you want to comment over there or watch it again or follow along to figure out how to do it, whatever. Also keep in mind the abbreviations for the teams are really only used for the what yard line you're on, opponent or yours. And they are limited to 3. It will let you put more in there than that, but it will cut them off once you reload it. So be mindful of that also. which I actually might have a couple I got to go back and fix. So I assumed that since it let me put more in, it was going to use them, but it doesn't. It cuts them back off to 3. Alright, so we're going to let this play here for a second until somebody scores. Yeah, that OU's way too big. I'm going to have to fix that. Now, I would... I think if you... Let's find out, shall we? So let's stop the game here. Now, you'll see right here you can continue the game. So what we're going to do is go back in. And we're going to fix the size of the OU on the helmet. And then we're going to resume and see if it brings it back in, or if it's still a large one. So go all the way down. Alright, so you technically could come over here, hold right trigger. Actually, let me flip over to the right one here. Hold right trigger and size it this way. You could do that. But for me, to be sure that they're the same on both sides, it's much easier to just have that extra logo. Now, let's go ahead and, while we're in here, let's go down and delete this one because we don't need that. Alright, so now I gotta find, so it's white, so it's gonna be one of these, right? So I just gotta figure out which one it is. At least I think I did an extra one for them. Yeah, there we go. So we'll open that up. Now it's quite a bit big, I thought. So let's go 450. And then we'll do the canvas back to 512. And we had our text last time, so go magic wand again, get rid of that white. File save as. Actually, I didn't have to do a save as, did I? Save. Alright, so now we can flip back over to the game. Go off of them, come back. Go back to helmet. And it's smaller. Do we think that's small enough? I don't know, I feel like it's still too big, yeah? So let's go back over again. And let's do 475 this time. Back to 512. And then save again. Get out of Oklahoma. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. I think that's closer. Alright, so let's get out of the hub again. And then we'll come over to resume game. Now we didn't change the main, right? That was a separate one for just the helmet, right? So that one will be the same. But we'll see if we can tell that it's smaller in the actual game or not. If it loads the new one. I'm assuming it reloads it, but I could be wrong. See if we can get a gander at these helmets before somebody scores here. Oh my gosh. Learn how to tackle. And we didn't, kind of. I mean, even if it doesn't in this one, we know it's going to be smaller in the future games, but I'm pretty sure it reloads it. Let's see if we can get a look at them when they're off on offense here, and then we'll shut her down and end the stream. Just wanted to let you guys see that you could do the actual college logos. Now I've got LSU named Louisiana State. You technically could make that LSU if you wanted, which I may actually go back and do. That part's really easy. You just go to the team data and change the name of the team. School name, I think it's called. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better on the OU there. Looks a little smaller to me. Now, I would like to see them get a little bit better at showing their graphics off, i.e. the helmets. Now you can see it pretty good there. That looks about right to me. I think it did load the smaller ones. Now, they're pretty good showing it on the penalty there, weren't they? Wasn't too bad. But even Madden 08, that's one of the things they did really well, was showed off the uniforms and helmets. But I digress. I'd like to see them, you know, I want them to get better at gameplay and animations first. Don't worry about that eye candy later, right? So yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And that's how you get them in the game. I hope you guys find it helpful, and I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. I think I'm actually gonna go in and rename Louisiana State to LSU. Actually surprised I did that in the first place, to be honest. Because I got like USC and everybody's all, you know, see like BYU I got that way. Why, I don't know why I didn't do LSU that way. I mean, they are Louisiana State technically, but I don't know why I didn't do LSU on them. So that's more what you hear used for them. Alright, we're going to call it a stream there. I hope you guys find this helpful, and feel free to leave comments if you have any questions about it, or thoughts, or you've done your own and you've got a video you want to link in the comments for me to check out. Feel free to do so. I just wanted you guys to see that you could do on PC the actual logos and make them look really good. And I also wanted to show you how to do it. So, hope you find it helpful, and until next time, we'll see y'all later. Peace.